The Forbidden's excavation, the drilling platforms of the Caltharian Empire, cut through the rocky surface of Zarian 7 with mechanical precision. The planet was supposed to be another routine mining operation, rich in rare minerals, but otherwise unremarkable. That changed when the deep core extractors hit something that shouldn't have existed. Dr. Zethka pressed his scaled hands against the observation window of the command module, watching as the excavation robots cleared away layers of sediment that had accumulated over millions of years. His four eyes tracked every movement of the machinery below, but his mind was focused on the readings streaming across his datapad. The metal composition was unlike anything in their databases. The geometric patterns were too perfect to be natural. Formations. "Sir, we've uncovered another section," called his assistant, Dr. Nyleven, her voice tight with excitement and concern. "The structure extends at least 3 kilometers in all directions. Whatever this is, it's massive." General Vox Rel stormed into the observation deck, his military bearing making the other scientists step back instinctively. The Caltharian military commander had little patience for archaeological discoveries when there were mining quotas to meet. "How much longer will this delay cost us?" "The Empire expects results, not excuses. General, with respect, this discovery could be worth more than all the minerals on this planet combined," Zethka replied, not taking his eyes off the excavation site. "We're looking at technology that predates our civilization by at least 50,000 years. The applications could revolutionize everything we know about engineering and physics." Below them, the excavation had revealed a circular platform nearly a kilometer wide, made from a crystalline material that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. At the center stood a ring-like structure, its inner diameter large enough for a battle cruiser to pass through. The entire complex was covered in intricate symbols and patterns that hurt to look at directly. "What species built this?" Nyleven asked, running spectral analysis on the symbols. "These markings don't match any known alien civilization in our databases." Zethka adjusted his scanner settings, focusing on the inscription patterns around the outer ring. As the translation algorithms worked, his expression grew more troubled. "The linguistic analysis is showing matches to something called human writing, but that's impossible. Humans were a primitive species that destroyed themselves centuries ago. They never developed interstellar travel." The general leaned forward with interest. "Humans? The same species that were eliminated in the Third Expansion War? I thought their entire civilization was wiped out." "That's what the historical records claim," Zethka said slowly. "But these inscriptions suggest otherwise. The dating shows this structure was built during the height of human civilization, possibly as some kind of transportation hub or defensive installation." As the days passed, more sections of the complex were revealed. The structure wasn't just impressive in size. It was impossible in scope. The engineering required materials and techniques that the Caltharian Empire, despite their advanced technology, couldn't replicate. Energy conduits ran through solid rock without any visible construction methods. Power distribution systems operated on principles that violated known physics laws. "The energy readings are off the charts," Nyleven reported during their daily briefing. "This facility is still drawing power from somewhere, even after all this time. The source appears to be tapping directly into zero-point energy, something our best scientists say is theoretically impossible." General Vox Rel studied the tactical implications with growing excitement. If they could understand and control this technology, the Caltharian Empire would become the dominant force in the galaxy. "How long until we can attempt activation?" "Sir, I must strongly advise against that," Zethka interjected. "We've found warning inscriptions throughout the complex. They're written in dozens of languages, including several that match extinct civilizations. All of them say the same thing: do not wake what sleeps beyond. There are detailed descriptions of containment protocols and fail-safe mechanisms. The general's scaled face showed his irritation. Primitive superstitions. These humans obviously built something they couldn't control and were too cowardly to use it. We're not going to be stopped by ancient ghost stories. But Zethka had spent weeks translating the human inscriptions, and what he found disturbed him deeply. The warnings weren't random. They described specific dangers, detailed technical specifications, and most importantly, they outlined exactly what would happen if certain protocols were violated. The humans had prepared for every possible scenario, including discovery by alien species. General, these aren't superstitions. The humans mapped out contingencies for situations we haven't even thought of. Look at this section here. He pointed to a complex diagram etched into the crystalline surface. They anticipated that alien civilizations might find their installations and try to activate them. They built in safeguards and response protocols. All the more reason to act quickly, Voxrel replied. If this technology exists, others will eventually find it too. The Empire must be first to claim its power. As the research team worked to decode the activation sequences, strange phenomena began occurring throughout the excavation site. Equipment would malfunction in specific patterns. Personnel reported vivid dreams about vast ships traveling between stars. The local wildlife avoided the area entirely, even flying creatures changing course to stay away from the complex. Dr. Nylaven was the first to notice the correlation between their research progress and the increasing strangeness. The facility is responding to our presence. Every time we access a new control interface, the energy output increases. It's as if the entire system is gradually coming online. That's impossible, Zethka said, but even as he spoke, he realized it wasn't. The humans hadn't just built a transportation device. They had created something that could think, that could evaluate situations and respond accordingly. The warning inscriptions weren't just messages for future discoverers. They were programming instructions for an artificial intelligence system. The breakthrough came on the 37th day of excavation. Dr. Nylaven had been working on deciphering what appeared to be the main control interface when suddenly the symbols began glowing with soft blue light. The change rippled outward from her position, traveling along energy conduits throughout the complex until the entire facility was illuminated. The system is fully active, she reported, her voice filled with wonder and terror. I can access the main database now. The amount of information stored here is staggering. Star maps, technical specifications, historical records covering thousands of years of human civilization. General Voxrel pushed past the other researchers to reach the control interface. Can you activate the transportation system? Sir, the database contains explicit warnings about activation without proper authorization codes. The humans built in multiple layers of security to prevent unauthorized use. Then bypass the security, the general ordered. Use whatever methods necessary. Zethka stepped forward, his concern evident. General, the humans' warnings specifically mention consequences for forced activation. They describe automated defense systems and countermeasures designed to protect whatever is on the other side of the gate. But Voxrel was beyond reason. The tactical advantages of controlling this technology were too great to ignore. He activated his personal command codes and began overriding the safety protocols. The facility's response was immediate and dramatic. Alarms that hadn't sounded for 50,000 years echoed through the complex. The crystalline ring at the center began spinning, generating energy fields that made the air itself crackle with power. The dimensional barriers are destabilizing. Nylaven called out over the rising hum of machinery. The gate is opening, but not to any location in our galaxy. This is a trans-dimensional portal. Through the ring, space began to fold and twist. Reality bent around the opening until a view of distant stars appeared, but these weren't stars. from any known constellation. This was a window into somewhere else entirely, somewhere that had been hidden for millennia. Magnificent, General Voxrel breathed. A gateway to unexplored territories. The Empire will control entire new sectors of space. Asterisk, but Zethka was reading the diagnostic displays with growing alarm. General, the energy readings are spiking beyond safe parameters. The humans built this system to shut down automatically. If tampered with, we need to evacuate immediately. Before anyone could react, something began moving on the other side of the portal. It wasn't a ship or a natural phenomenon. It was a structure, massive and purposeful, approaching the gate from the dimensional space beyond. The facility's ancient computers began broadcasting messages in dozens of languages, all carrying the same warning. Unauthorized activation detected. Guardian protocols initiated. Prepare for evaluation. The gate flared with blinding light, and the first Guardian emerged into normal space. Asterisk. What humanity left behind the Guardian that stepped through the portal wasn't what any of them expected. Instead of a weapon or a monster, it appeared to be a humanoid figure made of crystalline energy, its form shifting between solid matter and pure light. It moved with purpose and intelligence, scanning the assembled Caltharians with sensors that operated on principles beyond their understanding. Unauthorized activation confirmed, the Guardian spoke, its voice carrying harmonics that resonated through both air and subspace. Evaluating potential threat level. Scanning for human authorization codes. Dr. Zethka watched in fascination as additional Guardians materialized around the complex. Each one was slightly different, adapted for specific functions. Some carried what were obviously weapons, but others held devices that looked more like scientific instruments. The humans hadn't just prepared for war. They had prepared for every possible scenario. Stand down immediately, General Voxrel commanded, raising his own weapon. By the authority of the Caltharian Empire, I claim this facility and all associated. Technology. The lead Guardian turned its attention to the General, and Zethka felt the temperature in the chamber drop several degrees. Hostile intent detected. Analyzing tactical capabilities. Conclusion. Minimal threat. Implementing restraint protocols. Before Voxrel could fire, his weapon simply stopped working. Not broken or damaged, but deactivated at a molecular level. The same effect spread to every piece of Caltharian technology in the complex. Their communicators, their scanners, even their life support systems shut down simultaneously. How is this possible? Dr. Nyleven whispered, staring at her dead instruments. Guardian's form solidified, taking on a more recognizably humanoid appearance. Human technology incorporates quantum-level safeguards against unauthorized use. Your species' technology operates on principles we anticipated and prepared countermeasures for millennia ago. You're saying the humans planned for this exact situation? Zethka asked, his scientific curiosity overcoming his fear. Humans planned for 847,392 different scenarios, involving discovery of our installations by alien species. This situation falls within acceptable parameters for peaceful resolution, assuming cooperation from the intruders. More Guardians emerged from the portal, but these carried different equipment. They began setting up complex devices around the chamber, creating what looked like a command center. The efficiency of their movements suggested this was a well-rehearsed procedure. We are not intruders, General Voxrel protested. This facility was found on a planet within our territory. Incorrect, the lead Guardian replied, accessing data from the facility's computers. This installation exists in dimensional space that transcends normal territorial boundaries. The physical anchor point on this planet is merely a convenience. For local access. A new voice echoed through the chamber, this one clearly human, but filtered through the facility's communication system. Guardian Protocol 7 is now active. Awakening Command Authority. All personnel prepare for briefing. The portal expanded, and through it came something that made even the Guardians step back respectfully. It was unmistakably a human, but one that had been in suspension for an unimaginable length of time. Captain Sarah Chun emerged from a stasis pod that had been floating in the dimensional space beyond the gate, her uniform bearing insignia from a human military organization that had ceased to exist 50,000 years ago. "Status report," she said, her voice carrying the authority of someone who had commanded fleets of starships across impossible distances. "Dimensional anchor facility Zirian 7 has been discovered by alien civilization, designated Caltharian Empire," the lead Guardian reported. Unauthorized activation was attempted. No damage to primary systems. Local population shows mixed intentions, scientific curiosity, and military opportunism. Captain Chun studied the assembled Caltharians with eyes that had seen the rise, fall of galactic civilizations. "So, you found one of our emergency installations. The question is, what do you intend to do with it?" Dr. Zethka stepped forward, his scientific training overriding his fear. "Captain, we had no idea this facility was still active. Our records show that human civilization was destroyed centuries ago." Sarah smiled grimly. "Destroyed?" "No, evacuated. When we realized that our expansion had attracted the attention of species that viewed us as threats, we implemented the Great Diaspora. Entire populations were moved to dimensional safe zones, while automated systems maintained our territorial claims in normal space." "You're saying there are still humans alive?" Nyleven asked in amazement. "Millions of them," the captain replied, "hidden in pocket dimensions, sustained by technology that makes your most advanced systems look like stone tools. We've been waiting, watching, preparing for the day when it would be safe to return." General Voxrel, frustrated by his powerlessness, tried one last appeal to authority. "This changes nothing. The Caltharian Empire has claimed this system. Your presence here is illegal under galactic law." Captain Chun laughed, a sound that carried both humor and iron determination. "Galactic law? Which galactic government do you represent?" "The third hegemony that fell 12,000 years ago. The Crystal Alliance that dissolved when their primary species evolved beyond physical existence? Or perhaps the current coalition that controls less than 3% of explored space?" She activated a holographic display that filled the chamber with a three-dimensional map of the galaxy. Red dots marked human installations, and there were thousands of them, while your species was fighting wars over individual star systems. Humanity was building a network that spans the entire galaxy. Every major trade route, every strategic resource point, every defensive position you can imagine. But why hide? Zethka asked. With this level of technology, humans could have dominated the galaxy. Because domination was never the goal, Sarah explained. Survival was. We learned early that being the most powerful species in the galaxy made you a target for everyone else. So we stepped back, prepared our defenses, and waited for the galaxy to mature. The Guardians had finished setting up their equipment, and new images began appearing on the displays. They showed human colonies thriving in hidden dimensions, massive construction projects that dwarfed anything the Caltharians had ever built, and fleets of ships that existed partially outside normal spacetime. "The question now," Captain Chun said, turning to address all the Caltharians present, "is what happens next. Your species has demonstrated both scientific curiosity and military aggression. The first we can work with. The second we cannot tolerate." General Voxrel made one final attempt to seize control of the situation. He lunged for a backup weapon concealed in his armor, but before he could draw it, every atom in his body simply stopped moving. He stood frozen like a statue, fully conscious but completely immobilized. Hostile action neutralized, the lead Guardian reported. Individual remains alive, but temporarily incapacitated. The general will be released unharmed when this situation is resolved, Captain Shun assured the other Caltharians. But his military approach to this encounter ends now. Dr. Zethka found himself speaking for his entire species. Captain, we didn't know. Our historical records suggested that humans were extinct. We thought we were investigating ancient ruins. And that's exactly what we wanted you to think, Sarah replied. The best way to avoid conflict is to appear to have already lost. But now that you've activated one of our installations, the masquerade is over. Humanity is still here, still watching, and still protecting what we've built. The portal behind them began showing new images. Massive space stations emerged from dimensional hiding places. Ships that had been disguised as asteroids and gas. Clouds revealed their true nature. Across the galaxy, humanity's hidden infrastructure was coming back online. You have a choice, Captain Sean said, addressing the Caltharians directly. You can try to exploit what you've found here, in which case our defensive protocols will ensure you never leave this planet. Or you can accept that you've stumbled onto something much larger than your empire, and work with us to find a peaceful solution. Dr. Nylaven looked at her frozen general, then at the incredible technology surrounding them, and finally at her mentor Dr. Zeethki. What would peaceful cooperation look like? Cultural and scientific exchange, Sarah replied. Shared exploration of the galaxy. Joint research projects that benefit both species. The Caltharian Empire has developed some impressive technology of its own. Combined with human innovation, we could accomplish things neither species could achieve alone. And if we refuse? Zethka asked. Captain Sean's expression grew serious. Then you'll forget this ever happened. Our medical technology can selectively edit memories, and you'll wake up believing the excavation found nothing but empty ruins. Your empire will continue its expansion, never knowing how close it came to triggering a conflict it couldn't possibly win. The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity hadn't just survived their supposed extinction. They had evolved into something that operated on a scale the Caltharians could barely comprehend. Every assumption about galactic politics and power structures was wrong. I speak for the Caltharian scientific community, Dr. Zethka said finally. We choose cooperation. Captain Shun smiled, and for the first time, her expression carried genuine warmth. Welcome to the real galaxy. There's so much we have to show you. As she spoke, the portal behind them expanded further, revealing a view of Earth as it existed in its hidden dimension. Cities of crystal and light stretched across continents, while ships moved between the stars like streams of living energy. Humanity had not just survived. They had transcended their original limitations while maintaining their essential nature. The first lesson, Sarah said as she led them toward the portal, is that true strength doesn't come from conquest or domination. It comes from being prepared for anything, while hoping you'll never have to use that preparation. Behind them, General Voxrel remained frozen, a living reminder that some approaches to the universe led only to paralysis, while others opened doorways to possibilities beyond imagination. The gate hummed softly, bridging dimensions and species, carrying the promise that cooperation could achieve what conquest never could.